Alright, welcome to my breakdown on how to get the GrandMaster speed killing time at Nakatra of under 2 minutes 24 seconds. This was a challenging one, but really very interesting and probably one of the most unique speed kills in the game, just given the movement. This will be a melee camp kill, and the main logic behind using melee as I understand it is that it's simply the most consistent style for this speed kill right now. Ever since the When Arrow nerf, the ranged rotation becomes more reliant on full book procs, and I've heard from some players that you regularly have to teleport out on phases 1 and 2 if you don't get good procs. It also has a full vestment switch to use Meteor Strike in the Shadow Sands realm, and while I can't speak firsthand on how reliant ranged actually is on the book procs, neither one of those things sounds appealing to me. Besides, the melee kill looks super flashy and unique, so I ended up copying a lot of what I saw from Evil Lucario's Melee 213 video, and I just did a couple of things slightly differently to make this easier for myself. I got myself a 220 kill, and I'll break down the rotation ability by ability, slowing down the clips if need be. Then I'll play the full speed kill at the end with light commentary. Starting off with the preset and relics, I'll be using Conservation of Energy, Fury of the Small, and Persistent Rage. The Persistent Rage is actually important. You'll see why at the very start of the kill. As for the preset, I'm wearing my best melee gear with Enhanced Gloves of Passage and a Champion's Ring. We won't have perfect accuracy, so we don't want to use a Reaver's Ring. We'll also be using quite a few bleeds, so the Champion's Ring is going to be the best choice. I'm wearing a full book over a Grimoire, as its damage boost also applies to bleeds, unlike the Grimoire. I have a bow with Blackstone arrows equipped. We'll periodically apply Blackstone arrows to make up for our accuracy deficit. I have a Consecrated Keris perked with Precise 6, which will be our main weapon throughout the fight. Pairing the Keris with a Desert Amulet 4 is an extremely powerful combination here. Speaking of amulets, I also have 2 EOFs with me, one with the Exekill and the other with Dragon Claws. As far as melee switches go, I have a Dragon Battle Axe which we'll use twice as part of the kill. I have a Masterwork Spear which I'll use to cast the Exekill spec. I have an offhand flanking switch which gets a lot of use during this kill. I also have my main hand Leng Sword, just in case I wanted to use the Leng spec at the very end of the fight, although I didn't end up needing it. And my last melee switch is the Jaws of the Abyss helmet. We'll be using that for the majority of the kill. The logic in bringing the Jaws and a Vestment helm is so that you can start all of your berserks with 120% adrenaline, taking advantage of the full Vestment set effect. So not to worry, it's really not that sweaty switching helmets all the time. Just once at the very start of the fight and twice during the kill. The last couple of things of note in my inventory are Dread Nips and Primal Masterwork armor spikes. We'll aim to always have a Dread Nip deployed for a little bit of extra damage, and the armor spikes can apply parasite stacks, synergizing nicely with the Jaws helmet, as well as providing a small amount of extra damage throughout the fight. Lastly, I have a Portent of Death. This is an untradeable item made with 100 Elder Energies and a Diamond Ring. It's like a Sign of Life, but when it activates, it will also do 30,000 damage to the boss. You will have to remove the defense cape from your max cape perks in order for this to actually activate though. The ideal use of this would be to intentionally sign at the very end of the kill after Nakatra's Obliterate attack as a way to deal 30,000 extra damage to Nakatra. In all of my kills, I never actually had sign cooldown available to make use of this, but had this worked out in my kill, I think it would have saved a couple of extra seconds. This isn't something super necessary or essential to plan your kill around. It's just an extra tool in the tool belt. You'll see it ends up being a completely cosmetic waste of an inventory slot for me, but I mention it as it is an interesting strategy that someone may find advantageous. So there's all the info on the preset. Let's look at the kill now. Right away, here's where Persistent Rage comes into play. Once you enter the Nakatra instance and climb up the stairs, use Dragon Battle Axe special attack immediately. Now just wait until Persistent Rage gets your adrenaline all the way back up to 120%. It feels a little bit silly standing here for 20 seconds, but you can't carry in a DBA buff with you. It would clear at the stairs, so using Persistent Rage is a clever workaround. Once you have 120 adren, use Berserk and Barge into the boss. You'll want to deploy a Dread Nip and call your Ripper Demon. If you don't manually call your Ripper Demon, it takes an embarrassingly long time for his little legs to waddle up to you, and you lose out on a fair bit of Ripper damage. So Zerk, Barge, call Ripper, and deploy a Dread Nip. Now, 4 tick Smoke Cloud and Bleed Destroy, then Flurry for 5 ticks. Cancel the Flurry with Fury. Walk forward through Nakatra so that you're under her and you can use Flanking Backhand. It can be helpful to click at the opposite side of the arena, forcing your character to walk under her. Once you're under her, cast the Backhand, and after you cast Backhand, use Escape to dodge the incoming Soulfire. As you escape, click back onto Nakatra to start running back in immediately, and then use Assault. After Assault ends, finish Phase 1 with Overpower. To start Phase 2, equip your Exekill EOF, use Chaos Roar, equip your spear, and then cast the Easy K spec. It's important to do this with the spear to make the most of the Exekill spec. although if you don't have Easy K in an EOF, just using a physical Easy K spec should also be fine. After Easy K, re-equip your Keris and Offhand. Then use Havoc. You'll have to dodge the hieroglyphs now, so use Dive to get to a safe tile. It's ideal to dive to the closest safe tile possible so that you minimize the amount of walking you'll have to do to get back to Nakatra. If you surge and dive all the way to the opposite end of the arena, for example, you would end up spending more time walking than you would casting abilities, and you'd end up off-sheet very quickly, ruining your Grandmaster speed attempt. So dive to the nearest possible safe tile, then click on Nakatra and or cast your next ability as soon as possible. So after that first dive, use Fury and Flanking Backhand. You'll have to dive again here. Once you do, equip your bow and use Fragmentation Shot. This will work with the Easy K spec as well as applying a first Blackstone Arrow debuff to the boss. Walk in, equip your Keris in your offhand, then use Dismember and Blood Tendrils. It is by design to cast these abilities using a Keris as opposed to the spear. Basically, you want to use Keris for everything other than the Exekill spec. After Blood Tendrils, use Havoc once more, and now we're going to be getting ready for the Obliterate attack, so try and be close to full HP here if possible. After Havoc, use Reflect, and you'll still have a little bit of time here before Obliterate, so you can take advantage of the Reflect by getting in a defensive auto with your bow. Use the bow to cast Smoke Cloud and Greater Ricochet. This refreshes Smoke Cloud and also applies more Blackstone Arrow debuff to the boss. After Gricko, use Reprisal. The first hit of Obliterate is going to hit you shortly, so drop your Protection Prayer, use Vitality Potion, and Vengeance. We want to tank all 3 hits of Obliterate using Soul Split ideally. That's going to give us a ton of damage from the Reflect, Reprisal, and Vengeance. After Reprisal, you want to use Resonance for the second hit of Obliterate. So long as you haven't lost any ticks elsewhere in the fight up to this point, this Resonance lines up perfectly with the second hit of Obliterate. That's going to put you at high HP again, and now you can comfortably tank the 3rd hit. The other benefit of doing this Reprisal Reflect rotation is that it puts us out of combat with the boss for long enough that we can take advantage of Greater Barge again. So use Barge, dive away from the incoming Soulfire, and then bleed Flurry. That's going to be important to lower our Berserk cooldown. Follow up the Flurry with Dismember and Havoc. That puts us up to 100% adrenaline again, and now we're going to be wanting to build back up using our Vestments Helm to then use Berserk. If you remember what I said in the preset portion of this video, we'll want to use the Vestments Helmet each time we use Berserk. So now that we're at 100% adrenaline, re-equip the Vestments Helm, use one more attacking ability on Nakatra, in this case I used Fury, then use Anticipation. The hieroglyphs will become active again now, so dodge accordingly and use Berserk as you dodge the first one. After Berserk, equip your Jaws helmet again. Barge Nakatra and use Destroy. Make sure that you equip the Jaws helmet after the Berserk, otherwise the Barge might not give you enough adrenaline to use Destroy right away. Now the goal to finish phase 2 is to get to 480,000 HP, skipping the next Soulfire and the Scarab mechanics. So use any strong basics as necessary to hit the phase HP, things like Decimate, Sever, and Havoc. I phased one ability after the Destroy here, which is good. The first time split you may want to note down is to get to this point of the fight in 1 minute or less. So I'm here at 57 seconds, and that means I know I'm doing well. Now that you're here, start running towards where one of the Nephthys will spawn. While you're running, you can cast one melee ability like Decimate or Slice. That's going to build adrenaline without actually putting you back in combat. Technically you're stalling this ability, but you're not actually going to release it on the Nephthys, so it's just to build extra adrenaline. I also ended up doing 2 defensive abilities here, just to be 100% sure that I get my Barge buff, but you can save a little bit of time here by omitting this. Once the Nephthys spawn in, use Barge, Bleed Flurry, Assault for 1 global cooldown, and if necessary, finish it off with a strong basic like Sever. As that first Nephthys is dying, you can then turn towards the other Nephthys and surge dive across the room, which will dodge the incoming Soulfire if you time it well. So long as you're diving far enough across the arena, the timing always lines up nicely after that 3rd ability on the first Nephthys. On the second Nephthys, use Fury, Overpower, and finish it with Punish. Sometimes you may need to use 1 extra ability here if your Berserk ran out early or you got bad hits, so just watch out for that. If you're really fast up to this point, you can actually skip the Soulfire here and turn your attention right away to pre-phasing Nakatra, saving you a couple of extra seconds. Whatever happens though, you do want to get in a little pre-phase on Nakatra. So here, since I did get the Soulfire, I did a Piercing Shot, the thinking being that I'd build a little bit of adrenaline, as well as apply more Blackstone Arrow. Then when she's attackable again, I could do Gricko, Dismember, and Dragon Battle Axe. I ended up misclicking and accidentally did Snipe that I cancelled, so just ignore that in this clip. That was not optimal. The ideal pre-phase would be doing those 3 abilities in any order that's comfortable: Gricko, Dismember, and Dragon Battle Axe spec. Now you'll get sucked into the Shadow Sands realm, so start that off by using Divert and surge diving over to the Soulstorm. Click it and then target cycle to the first Saloa. Use 2 strong basic abilities like Decimate and Sever. Then turn to the second Saloa, even if the first one isn't dead yet. On the second one, try and get them to stack up if you can. Use Fury, switch to your Spear, and use Cleave. That should hit both monsters, usually killing the first one. Finish them off with any basics as needed. Just make sure that you don't use Backhand, as we're going to need that once we exit the realm. As you kill the 2 Saloas and are clicking the souls, you can also attack the gorilla to build some extra adrenaline with Dismember. The last thing to remember while you're in the realm here is to equip your Vestments helmet once again. We'll be using Berserk shortly after exiting the realm, so remember that you'll want to start that with 120 adrenaline. It's okay if you exit the realm with 100% flat though. As you exit the realm, target cycle to Nakatra, re-vuln, and deploy a new Dreadnought. We have time for 3 abilities here before she does her explosion attack. So do 2 defensives like Anticipate and Freedom, then barge Nakatra. As you barge, dive to the safe hieroglyph. I'd recommend going to the farthest tile possible on the hieroglyph, as that will let you cast the upcoming abilities with a safe timing regarding your character's movement. Once you're onto the hieroglyph, use Berserk, re-equip your Jaws helmet, use Limitless ability, and then use Destroy on Nakatra. If you're not standing on the furthest tile of the hieroglyphs, you'll have to wait until you see the 3rd explosion hit splat finish. Otherwise, you'll walk in too early and die. However, if you are on the furthest tile, you can just cast Destroy right away and the timing works out perfectly. From here on out, it's important that you don't lose any ticks to movement, as the timing and ability rotation is precise. So after you release that Destroy on Nakatra, follow that up with Fury and Flanking Backhand. If you can, remember to drink your A-Pot now. I ended up forgetting in this kill, but it comes off cooldown here, so this is the best time to use it again. Now use Assault, and once Assault ends, cast Punish, and at the same time, walk back 1 tile behind the golden tile. This seems really scary, but this timing works out flawlessly. The moment that your character touches the tile behind the golden tile, you can cast your next ability, and that works out perfectly to dodge the floor explosions. So as soon as you're casting Punish, walk out, and as soon as you touch that tile, cast Havoc to walk back in. Use Overpower after the Havoc, and as soon as you're casting the Overpower, walk back again 1 tile behind the golden tile. Once you're behind the golden tile, use an ability right away to move back in and dodge the mechanic. In this case, we'll use Chaos Roar. So to kind of reiterate that, after Assault, cast Punish and walk back together. Touch the tile and cast Havoc to walk back in. Use Overpower and walk back out. Touch the tile and cast Chaos Roar to walk back in. That's probably the hardest and scariest part of the fight in my opinion, but stick with those abilities and trust the timing. It works out beautifully. Now we have the Obliterate attack coming up. So after you use Chaos Roar, you're going to want to use Reflect and then Divert. If you're a proper gamer, you can also take advantage of the defensive abilities here to get in the 2-handed auto attack instead of a dual wield auto attack like I did. But I'm usually pretty nervous when I get this far into a kill, and I'm just focusing on the basics. You can use Disruption Shield for 1 hit of the Obliterate attack if you want to play more safely, but you see in my kill, I divert 1 hit and tank the other 2. While that's happening, use Dragon Claws twice. From here on out, you'll have to improvise 1 or 2 abilities, and if Sign cooldown is available to you, this is the time you may want to intentionally sign, activating your Portent of Death for 30k extra damage on Nakatra. That wasn't an option for me in this kill, so I just used 2 more basic abilities. Had I remembered to A-Pot earlier, I maybe could have used another Claw, a Length Spec, or maybe a Hurricane and saved a touch more time. But in any event, the boss will be very low HP after the Claws, and basically any strong basic abilities will finish the kill. So there's the breakdown portion of the kill. Hopefully I explained it reasonably well. Some of the movement stuff is tricky to explain, and will definitely become more second nature with practice. Using melee here is really unique and unlike anything else we have in the game currently. I enjoyed going for this kill. It was very challenging, especially as a trackpad player. Click speed and cursor accuracy are not my strongest gaming attributes, but the overall consistency of the rotation and the drastically different playstyle made this something I definitely recommend to anyone going for the GrandMaster Nakatra Speedkill. Anyway, now that the breakdown is over, let's watch the kill in live speed with some light commentary. Alright, so starting out the kill, we'll use Dragon Battle Axe spec, and then unfortunately we do have to sit around and wait here for 20 seconds, but we'll fast forward through this, and once the 20 seconds are up, we'll use Berserk, Barge the boss, 4-tick Smoke Cloud with Destroy, then go into a 5-tick Flurry. We'll cancel the Flurry with Fury, then walk forward through the boss, allowing us to cast Flanking Backhand. As we're casting that, we'll go ahead and escape so that we dodge the incoming Soulfire, click back onto the boss to walk back in, and start using Assault. Finishing off the Assault with Overpower that finishes off phase 1, we'll use Chaos Roar, equip our Easy K EOF, equip our Spear, cast EOF, then use Havoc and go into some dodging. After dodging the first Hieroglyph, use Fury and then another Flanking, then equip the bow, use Fragmentation Shot, triple bleed here with Dismember and then Blood Tendrils. Now prepping for the Obliterate attack, use Havoc, Reflect, Defensive Auto Smoke Cloud Gricko, Reprisal, Resonance that lands on tick, Barge the boss, Bleed Flurry, use Dismember and then Havoc to get to 100% Adrenaline. Then equip the Vestments Helm, 2 more abilities, we'll use Fury, and then Anticipation, allows us to use Berserk with 120 Adrenaline, re-equip the Jaws of the Abyss, use Barge, Bleed Destroy. Hopefully it phases here, I used 1 more ability, then we get ready for the Nephthys. Once the Nephthys are out, we'll Barge the first one, bleed another Flurry on this first guy, finish him off with 3 ticks of Assault and 1 more basic ability if necessary, before surging and diving over to the second Nephthys. On that Nephthys, we'll use Fury, Overpower, and Punish. Sometimes it dies here, sometimes you need 1 extra ability. Either way though, turn your attention to pre-phasing Nakatra with Gricko, Dismember, and finishing off with Dragon Battle Axe spec. You'll get sucked into the realm now, so now in the realm we want to start out by using Divert, diving over to the Soulstorm, targeting the Salawas with some strong basics like Decimate, Sever, Fury, and Cleave to hit both of them. Sometimes we kill both of them on the Cleave, sometimes we need a couple of extra abilities. Target the Gorilla, equip the Vestments Helm, get back up to at least 100% Adrenaline. We'll have a little bit of time on Nakatra to do a couple of defensive abilities, getting us back all the way up to 120%. So use Anticipate, Freedom, Barge, and dive to the Hieroglyph. That gets us to 120% Adrenaline. Use Berserk, then Limitless Destroy on Nakatra. Now everything is tick perfect from here on out, so Fury, Flanking Backhand, Full Channel Assault. At the end of Assault, cast Punish, walk out to the safe tile, then walk back in, immediately casting another ability. We'll use Havoc, then Overpower, walking back out, walking back in with Chaos Roar, ready for the Obliterate by using Reflect, Divert, and then we'll finish off the boss with a couple of Dragon Claws and any improvised abilities we can think of. So there you have it. There was my video breaking down how I got the Grandmaster speed killing time at Nakatra of under 2 minutes 24 seconds using melee. If you enjoyed this video, found it interesting or helpful, be sure to share it with a friend, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel for more high-level PvM content just like this. I'll have guides out just like this on every Grandmaster achievement in the game, so thank you for watching, and see you next time.